Coming to you from the studios of Magic Broadcasting on Laird. This is the Kramer Show. The phone is now open, and the phone operators are standing by. Turn down your radio when you call. Pay attention and be ready to go. 850-233-9988.
I said if you're having the best time of your life right now, let me get it. Yes, sir.
This is Kramer.
7:05. Waiting on Scott Major. He'll be on today. Scott Major from Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team. We have had Scott on for quite a while, and he's really become a fixture on the show from Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team. And I joined a Facebook group fairly recently, and it's just Hurricane Michael updates. And if you think that, well, maybe we're getting back to normal, join that Facebook group, because let me tell you something. We're nowhere close. The amount of problems that people are having just blows me away. Blows me away. Just reading a post here. Just advice and info. Do not rent this. I believe this is illegal, and whoever hands over money will never be able to stay there if FEMA finds out. Just a warning. And FEMA trailers are free to stay in until April 2020. I verified that with FEMA the other day. If you're a homeowner and have one, you do not pay out of pocket. Your insurance, blah, blah. And it shows an ad for a FEMA trailer for rent. Our home is finally done, so we moved out of our trailer, asking $650 per month until FEMA takes it back. First come, first serve. So they got a FEMA trailer, okay? They were given a FEMA trailer, and now their home is done, and instead of giving it back, they're renting the damn thing out. I mean, that's a legal question. What happens? Maybe it's not even illegal. I don't know. Morally, I think it stinks. Renting it for $650 a month for a FEMA trailer. Look at that. And it's tiny. Then they posted this story. Well, it happened. The governor signed House Bill 1159. It's now in effect, and the result is that any tree on any Florida residential property can be removed without involving the government in any way if a certified arborist or a Florida licensed landscape architect creates documentation that the tree presents a danger to people or property. This law will enable property owners to remove trees that they and an expert agree could pose a problem without interference by local government. Unfortunately, the legislation is adopted can be abused. And then they posted about the Buccaneer Motel demolition. Then they posted about the upcoming disturbance that's whatever that is going to be. People, having trouble still getting tree removal. Just look at all this. Then they've got this. Everybody should be a member of this group. I have nothing to do with it other than I joined it. Hurricane Michael updates. Just search for that on Facebook, and it should bring it up, and then just go and join the group. There are posts on here with people that are just getting ripped off from contractors. People asking about roof problems. With the upcoming storm, what should they do? I think we all should definitely be a member of that. Scott Major from Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Hey, pal, what's new and cooking?
Just going over some legal things. I was telling the audience I joined Hurricane Michael Updates, which is a public group on Facebook. And they're just, a lot of these people have legal questions. And, it's just things that you would think by now people would have dealt with. Everything from dealing with people removing debris and them not doing the work, but they got paid. This new tree law, under a new Florida law, no tree is safe. It's House Bill 1159. I was just telling the audience, too, that, I've had you on now for, 9 months, and there still is no lack of content. I mean, there are so many people that are going through so many different things. I've never seen anything like it. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's extraordinary when you think about, how much lack of information there is out there in terms of the amazing amount of people who are suffering and continue to suffer because people don't understand what's in their insurance policy. They don't understand what they need to do. Nobody's educating people. Think about when you buy your car or your home insurance. Besides the fundamental questions of, hey, do you want bodily injury coverage, or do you want uninsured motorist, or if you're at a home, do you want to cover your home? They don't discuss with you exactly what coverage you're to be provided. And home insurance and condo insurance is even much worse than any other insurance, because I'm not sure you have a single listener who can tell you anything about what their insurance agent or broker told them in terms of what kind of coverage they need or not. How many people have ever heard of coverage A or B or C or D or ALE or some of these other things? And so what happens is when you start having these problems, people have no idea where to turn. As I told you, even lawyers don't understand these policies. So you get a lot of information and disinformation. Rumors spread around, like if there's a Category 5 hurricane determination, there'll be no deductibles and all kinds of crazy mythology that goes out there. Then you have the corresponding issues that relate to that, such as new laws or debris removals or people having problems with vendors or assignment of benefits and other types of problems that come up, and there is no real source. And you and I have talked about this, how few people understand what you and I are talking about, and the amount of education that I'm giving out, just people don't understand that. And then you have other people, whether they're lawyers or other people, saying, hey, let me help you. I know what I'm doing. And maybe they're not an experienced, property damage lawyer, and they've, sort of rode in, like gypsies or whoever they are, whether talented or not in other fields, and they're saying, let me take care of this, and they come in and they may not know much about that. Then you got to add the slew of public adjusters and vendors that have promised you they're going to get you their money in a minute, and while many of them are well-founded, and many of them have helped hundreds, if not thousands of people, there are so many people mixed in there that don't have the knowledge base. And so they don't even know what to do, or if they do, they're not educating their consumers, thereby creating a bigger problem. And then on top of all that, you and I have the situation of that we've talked about, where the Winn-Dixie doesn't open for a year, or some of these stores don't open for a year, for reasons which are just bizarre and unbelievable. And people are out of jobs, creating all kinds of additional problems, creating emotional and other strife from people who are now financially strapped. Add on that we don't have infrastructure, with the reality that rent prices go through the roof, like price gouging in gas pumps and water. And those kinds of things create problems that people aren't aware of, and they're not able to reach out to the Scott Majors or other people of the world that do this for a living and fully understand how to marshal the resources in order to help people. If you and I had a bigger radio station, or we could cover every county in the Panhandle, what a difference this world would be. If we were able to educate them the way we've done in the last 9 months, and more listeners were sharing information, what a difference this world would be. If we were able to get me on my soapbox and educate thousands and thousands of people, what a difference this world would be. And I just think that that's significant and important for people, and we just have to try our hardest to continue to educate many people and hope that they not only listen to shows like this, but they'll go on and listen to the radio shows that we've taped. In other words, every radio show that you and I have done is on the stormhelpteam.org site, every single one. You can go on the site and click on the radio show and listen to any radio show you want. There's actually a summary of each show, so it tells you some of the information. And we need to get that out there and let people know that. And I hope you and I can work together with the radio station to maybe populate these radio shows under a category of hurricane preparedness, on your Facebook or on your website, and continue to educate people with all kinds of data. I have my articles on the site, and we could post them there. And I think that that's the best weapon against future trouble. And this is not only for a future hurricane. This is for any bad rainstorm that causes a flood or causes damage, any bad wind event. This can cover things like vandalism and fires where your insurance policies are implicated. I just think that's a good way to go to try to leverage our intellect or leverage our knowledge base and share it with these many people who so deservingly need to hear it.
There are so many, like I said, there are so many people that are having just various problems, and you go on this Facebook group and you really do start to see that a lot of what people are asking are things that you and I have already talked about. And we've been talking about them for months and months and months, and whether that be assignment of benefits, whether it be insurance questions. This person is saying that they're going to do this work, and then I pay them, and then they don't do it, and then what do I do? People are asking for the numbers or a reference for a public adjuster. And I read this. I thought it was really interesting. This person was asking for, for somebody to reference them a good public adjuster. And a couple of people said, you don't need that. You need an attorney at this point. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Not to discard public adjusters, not at all, because I know what they do, and I know the importance of that. It's just that you and I talk about legal stuff a lot, and I've learned so much, but there are not, like you said, not everybody is sitting there in the Panhandle with their ear to the radio every single hour that you're on. They should be. But for instance, here's a question, and I just pulled this. Finally heard from insurance company and get nothing for roof damage. Now this is a recent post in the past day or so. The insurance company said nothing for roof damage. They said that sagging is due to age of the house. We had the roof replaced 4 years ago. Never heard of any company replacing all the plywood when doing a roof. So, adjuster, what is causing the water spots in my ceiling if it isn't from the Cat 5 hurricane that came through here? Really? So that's what she wrote, and that's that's something that people are still having an issue with.
No doubt about it, and I'll tell you that is just the typical type of thing that you and I are seeing, and it is frustrating for all of us because we know that those items are covered, and I know that every one of those people should be getting, a lawyer that with experience to go in there and say, good luck on that one. Why don't you not only not pay, why don't you pay the $100,000 of attorney's fees you're going to have by litigating this absolute idiotic nonsense of trying to deny a claim that's 4 years old on a roof. A roof that's built only 4 years ago. That's just like the poster child for my kind of litigation. And I just think it's unfortunate. But again, you go back to how many claims these people have denied and how much money they make from people going away or not fighting. And whether you think that that's nefarious or not, you either have to rack it up to, one, either it's an intentional act and they're trying to put profits over people, or there is a level of negligence there that is so profound that it borders on the intentional. And I think that either way, to take advantage of people in the Panhandle after a storm, to me, is criminal. To me, it is so bad, and it's just unfortunate that we're unable to lobby more lawmakers, and we should do this. And I hope that we can get people to do this, to lobby more lawmakers to put more laws in place to protect people against some of these profound abuses that occur, by either insurance companies or, vendors that are stealing from people or, other people that are doing things which are less than admirable.
Got to take a break. Scott Major from Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team. Two numbers to remember, actually, to get on the air, 850-233-9988. And to get in touch with Scott off the air, 844-800-LAWS. 844-800-LAWS. We'll be right back.
The Kramer Show. Unfortunately, we'll be right back. This is NewsTalk at 101. You're not dreaming, he's really back. He's really back. Back to Kramer in the morning on NewsTalk at 101.
Scott Major with us from Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team. 844-800-LAWS. That's the phone number to call and get through off the air. So if you got questions, Scott Major is the guy to call, 844-800-LAWS. You can get on the air at 233-9988. So there are people that are still seeing that they have, I just can't even imagine at 9 months still having major roof issues. That's got to be the first thing, right? I mean, why are the insurance companies, they're really waiting around this long and still telling people, hey, we get that you had insurance and you had a Category 5, but that leaking, that has nothing to do with a Category 5 hurricane. Holy crap, that's infuriating.
It's amazing and infuriating, and I'll tell you, if I had $1 for every time an insurance company claimed that the damage was caused by wear and tear, or the damage was excluded and it wasn't, I could retire. And I'm just telling you that it's unfortunate that this occurs. Sometimes you have cutting and pasting from so many files because there are thousands of claims filed. Sometimes, as you and I spoke about, there are some really good adjusters out there, but there are also some adjusters that aren't so good. There are some really good vendors out there, but there's also some vendors that aren't so good. And without, regulation in place, without mechanisms to enforce the wrongful conduct, to be able to get people a remedy, this kind of stuff will occur. But I think the number one problem in this industry, the number one problem is ignorance, is a lack of knowledge, that the consumer does not understand what their rights are. Imagine when you and I were talking back in month 1, when I was saying, listen, they should go out and hire a lawyer right now, but they probably won't because they'll be duped or told through the mythology that a lawyer's too expensive or they can't afford one or they don't need one because the insurance company's going to do the right thing or other proprietors are going to help them in a way where they don't need lawyers. Just imagine how many more people would have their property fixed, number one. And number two, and perhaps more important, there are loads of reasons why you can get other people to help you, a good vendor, a good public adjuster, a good lawyer. But the number one thing is to learn about what your policy says and what kind of insurance you should get now going into the future, and to understand, listen, you don't have to be an expert in insurance. Nobody's saying that you have to take a course on Insurance 101, although I'd be happy to teach it through the radio station. What you need to know is the basics, and to know that your property, are the windows covered? Are the windows that you have impact windows? And if not, if they're broken and have to be replaced, will they be covered? Are your windows now that you have actually been inspected by somebody so that you don't have problems 6 months or a year from now and have to pay money out of your pocket because you didn't know that the windows are really damaged because of the storm, even though they're not broken? Do you understand that your fence is covered or not covered? Has your insurance agent told you that the things that are in your house, around your house, and that make up your house Are they protected fully? Can they show you in an insurance policy where those things are? And as long as you know that about your place, you're going to be in a better position coming into future storms. As it relates to your existing insurance policy, you need to make sure that you feel comfortable that somebody, a good lawyer, a good adjuster, has really thoroughly reviewed your policy to overcome any alleged objection that an insurance company has to coverage. Some things are validly excluded. You didn't get the right coverage, or you didn't get enough coverage. That's an issue you need to deal with your insurance agent or insurance broker about. But for the ones that are covered, for the items that are, you should get every dollar and not 50% on the dollars. And I hope that the people on these, websites, whether it's, a Hurricane Michael update group or not, understand that people like me want to educate you and make your life better, whether you hire me or you hire my direct competitor or you hire a public adjuster. The number one thing is to get our people, that is the panhandle strong people, back to their lives and to maximize not only the rebuild process, but the preparedness process for the upcoming storm. Every single person.
Sit tight, and hold that thought. We'll be back. Stand by. Scott Major.
Kramer Show will be back in a sec on News Talk at 101. Back to the most listened to morning show in the Panhandle. This is the Kramer Show on News Talk at 101.
7:33, Scott Major with us. Scott Major from Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team. If you want to get on the air, if you got a question, seriously, call up and do it. 850-233-9988, 850-233-9988. Talking about the insurance companies and how many problems people are having on that front. I mean, it's a constant conversation no matter where you go. Anytime you're talking about the hurricane, people talk about the insurance companies. Also, people talk too, and you and I've had many conversations about it, people that are having issues with contractors and vendors. And being able to, I think one of the problems is that you have an influx of people that are here combined with a group of people, a population, a citizenry that doesn't know how to react after this storm because we've never had one. And what's happening is you have people that are trying to take advantage of people who've never been through something, and they're being successful, and they're screwing people. That's happening a lot.
You're right. I think it's truly unfortunate, and I hope that, if not state regulation, I hope that local regulation will be enacted to, for example, if a vendor, let's say we have a general contractor or we have a roofer, and they want to perform work for you. The new assignment of benefits law requires them to have a detailed estimate provided to you when they take over your rights. So why shouldn't we have an ordinance in place that says they should do the same whether or not they're getting an assignment or not? Because there should be no problem with understanding exactly when you're going to do the work, how you're going to do the work, and the timeline for that. If you're not going to have that, then at least let's get consumers educated to say that everybody you enter into an agreement with, every contractor, every roofer, you have to make sure there is a timeline on that particular work that's done. Just like if you had a plumber come in and fix your pipe, you wouldn't say, well, you have an unlimited time to fix the leaking pipe that's flooding my house. They would come down and immediately fix it. You should have the same thing with every other vendor. Secondly, I think it's important for people to respond to the rent crisis and some of the jacking of property rates and say how much different is that from, as you mentioned in other radio shows, from, let's say tomorrow gas prices were $10 a gallon just in that area. Would anybody have a problem with that? Would everybody be saying, oh, it's a bummer? They would go nuts, and there would be all kinds of price gouging issues. The same sorts of things can be put in place to avoid these problems. But the number one thing is to get more and more people educated about what coverage they need for their particular property, what rights they have, every single person who's out there who's listening, if you haven't had your windows inspected for your home, make sure that you've gotten an engineer or a general contractor or a window expert to write you a letter telling you your windows are perfect or they're not, because those are very expensive things. Every condominium that has these situations, every commercial building that is out there that suffered 160-mile-an-hour winds, sustained winds for periods of time, the idea that you think that those windows are perfect now and have suffered no damage is ridiculous. And so go out and make sure that you've done this, so in the future, if you get insurance or if another storm comes in the next month or even a bad rain event or bad wind event, you're protected. You're insured, no pun intended, that you're going to know what your damages are, and get the people who are writing the estimates to provide you with a detailed copy that shows you, hey, there are no other damages. These are what my damages are. So I know I can maximize my claim that I'm being paid on for my insurance product. And then if you have fixed your home, think about talking to your agent about lowering your insurance costs by not having to reinsure or reducing the amount of insurance that you're going to have in certain aspects, and then putting that money into other areas that you really need coverage for. These are critical things that we need to remind all the consumers, and arming them with education is the best weapon against fraud and distress.
Absolutely. 844-800-LAWS. That's how to get in touch with Scott Major off the air. Scott Major of Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team. And we're taking some phone calls. Let's go to Alan. Alan, you're up with Scott Major. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Scott. I've got a quick question for you, hopefully. I've been doing real good with my insurance company since the storm. They've been what I think is very fair with me up until recently. I did a short time away from home, about a month or so. I came back and I noticed a little musty smell in the house. I ended up finding water damage underneath my windows in areas that I had already fixed. My windows are leaking, and I've known for a while that they aren't operating the way they used to. I've had 2 window experts come out and say they need to be replaced. I submitted that to the insurance company. They came back and said, well, we're going to send out our engineer, and they did. And they told me, you don't need windows. We're not paying for them, even though they are leaking, and they take about 50 to 60 pounds of force to open and close now, where they worked fine last year. I feel kind of stuck, and this is one of those situations I feel like you were talking about, where they're willfully going against what's right.
Yeah, I'll tell you that is the classic example of the wrongful denial of a window claim. The idea that you should have to exert any force to open your windows that is greater than the force you had when you bought the windows just illustrates how there's been movement in your house. And candidly, assuming you don't have any foundational movement, which is something that should be checked, the reality is that is a great case to pursue litigation, to have a lawyer get involved and write a letter or call the insurance adjuster and say, do you really want us to sue over this nonsense? Because if we do, you're going to spend way more money in your attorney and our attorney than to fix these windows. And I'll tell you, there are literally, I would say conservatively, 10,000 window claims out there that are not being pursued. Happens after every storm, and people just have an attitude that they just think, in your case it's pretty more visible, but in many other cases, people just don't understand that those windows have been compromised because they look like they work. So I would encourage you to immediately call the 844-800-LAWS number, or to take a look at what their engineering report says and compare it and see what your engineer or your experts have said about their report, other than them just saying that it's not there. And if they won't give you your report, I would file suit tomorrow. I would not wait another day, because you're entitled to get your windows fixed.
All right, thank you.
Have a great day, man. Hope it helps.
Wow. And you know what? To get that ball rolling, call 844-800-LAWS, 844-800-LAWS. Just reading this, my general contractor put on a roof with a $24K price tag which I haven't paid yet, just the down payment, and it failed the county inspection big time. My GC is trying to say it's a manufacturer warranty issue, but it isn't. According to the Bay County inspector and the independent one I had come out, they say it is not the manufacturer, but it is all installation issues. Sloppiest job they've ever seen. The GC wants me to pay the $24K, and then they will get warranty money from the manufacturer. I'm not comfortable doing that at all. Does anyone know the best way to handle that?
Best way to handle that is not to pay the $24K. The best way to handle that is to get another contractor to go out there and to tell you in writing what is wrong with the house, in addition to what unless the permit individual, the inspector, has actually written something out, get somebody out there to specify all the problems and what it takes to fix them. Send that letter to the general contractor and explain to them they need to fix those problems. There is a chapter called Chapter 557, which is the construction-related chapter that talks about if you want to sue the contractor, you give them an opportunity to repair before you sue them. Oh. And then to me, you put them on notice. And then if they don't, you report them to the local state agency with the detailed letter you have from another vendor. And then you can either sue them or you can defend against them claiming that they've done bad work when they try to sue you. But it is unbelievable when people do this shoddy work. And a lot of this comes from, so that you understand, a lot of this comes from vendors that go out and they sign up 50 people or 500 people and they have one crew or two crews. They don't have enough crews, but they're seizing on the opportunity to get business. It's okay to go out and be entrepreneurial, but you still have to service the business. And what happens is a lot of them service it with subcontractors and subcontractors that they don't know, and the quality control goes down, and nobody's out there fighting for the homeowner. And that's why you and I are here. And those kinds of people, nobody should be permitted to do shoddy work. Nobody should be permitted to create the kinds of problems that create another nightmare for an individual. And I would tell that person to get another vendor. If they have to sue, to hire a lawyer to sue, and to protect their property, because that contractor probably has a lot of other jobs, and they have a duty to fix it. And if they don't, they're probably going to lose their other work when you expose them for the wrongful conduct they have. And the way you expose them is to make sure you have another contractor who can come out and tell you that it's really wrong, as opposed to maybe just a few things need to be fixed.
If that's the case, and you get another contractor out there to look at the work that's supposedly shoddy from the other contractor, and they're already charging you $24K, who's responsible for paying the contractor that comes out to look at it so that you can form a letter to send to the crappy contractor? Does that make sense?
Well, yes. You are responsible. Generally speaking, if I have a problem with my roof, or I have a problem with somebody has put some wrong construction, onto my property, I go out and I tell another vendor, listen, I might have to hire you to do this work or to fix the work that the other person did. Are you willing to come out and evaluate this property for fee or free? And half of the contractors will come out and say, I'll do it for free because I want the work. And some of them will say, I'll charge you a couple $100 to come out and do an evaluation. Okay, here's a couple $100. The guy writes a nice report. You say, I'm going to use you, and have you take over the project if this person doesn't fix the work exactly the way you say. So everybody wins in terms of they get paid, and then they have a situation where they have that. Now, if you have to litigate, you're going to get the recovery. You're obviously going to use that vendor again if that vendor doesn't agree to fix their work. And the idea that there's warranty work is really, to me, that kind of stuff is ridiculous. If somebody said to me, it's warranty related, I would say, great. Write me, the Love and Kisses letter. Dear contractor, thank you so much for telling me that I should pay you $24,000 and you'll get the warranty work. Please explain to me in writing how you will guarantee that all $24,000 will be done, will be gotten from the warranty maker to protect all the problems and all the money that's needed. Love and Kisses you. And if they write you the letter, maybe you can consider using them. If they don't write you the letter, which they won't, because then that would be fraud, then they'd have another problem, then you know that it's just a bunch of nonsense. They're probably hoping that you're going to just pay them and they're going to go get the warranty work, because if it really was warranty work, they would say, I'll have no problem, put it in writing. None. Let me explain to you exactly what's defective about each piece of plywood or each product that I'm using. I'll put it in writing. I got no truck. I got no problem with that, with doing that. And I'll tell you that that's what I would do if I was the person. And it's holding people's feet to the fire, making them put in writing what they say is true. And most people have no problem doing it. I don't have a problem doing it. You don't have a problem doing it, because we're honorable people.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, legally speaking, if a GC comes out there, you have a contract with them, and you say, I mean, well, I guess that's the first question, is when a general contractor comes out, he looks at your stuff and he goes, we got to do A, B, and C. Don't you sign a contract that says that they're going to do A, B, and C? And then if they don't, and you tell them, hey, you need to come and do this, they don't, then can you sue them?
Yeah, the answer is yes. The answer is everything that's governed by a contract, people can be liable for either construction defect or be liable for breach of contract. That is the contract that you have. And like I said, what I don't want the people to do is I don't want people to blindly pay the $24,000, like in this case, and then hope that the vendor, is going to come through. They don't, and then you're chasing them. Your leverage is the $24,000. They should do good work. If the work is really good, let them go to the inspector and explain to the inspector why the inspector is nuts and that really it's not about defect. It's not your responsibility, it's theirs. And if they're not going to do that, if their answer is, I'm not going to tell the inspector and explain to him why he's wrong, I'm going to go ahead and take your money and then go after somebody else who's not going to pay. You just have the wrong person, and you have to get another vendor out there so you can position yourself to have somebody else take over the job, because in the end, you have to get your house fixed. In the end, you need something permitted. In the end, you need to protect your asset. Whether you have to sue somebody or not, that's what you need to do. If you want to protect your asset and then let for them to sue you for the money, great. You want to protect your asset and then sue them for breach of contract, great. But the concept is start with you have to have your property properly fixed, but you need to do it where you have writings so that you can use them in a court of law in front of a judge, showing that I went to another vendor because this work was defective, and here's the written proof of that, and here's the written proof that this vendor refused to fix those things.
Scott Major from Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team. Obviously, Scott knows what he's talking about. He's been doing this for a very long time. Has worked for the insurance companies on the legal side, switched over, and now focuses on this brand of law. You need to take a break. To contact Scott off the air from Scott Major, from Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team, 844-800-LAWS, and you can go to stormhelpteam.org. More to come.
More Kramer coming up. Oh, and if you're thinking of making a complaint call to management right now, don't bother. His dad owns the station. NewsTalk at
7:53. It's the Kramer Show. It's NewsTalk at 101. Scott Major from Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team is with us today. Talking about a lot of stuff. I can't remember where it is on my screen. I've got 18,000 tabs pulled up, but he was asking about homes that have been completely demolished and people and what those people, those homeowners are still waiting on. Why is it that if a hurricane comes and blasts away the house, there's no denying that the house isn't there? So I would think that would be a pretty open and closed case. I guess that's not happening, huh?
Well, it is an open and shut case, and the value policy law statute says you got to pay them in full, and you can't hold back money, and whether somebody wants to rebuild or not. And yes, you do have problems. And again, it's part of that entire strategy of delay that they're banking on people are not going to go hire a lawyer, or they've heard enough myths to where they've badmouthed lawyers or whatever it is that's going on for the first 3 to 6 months of every storm that I've ever covered. And they don't realize that every day that's another set of interest that the insurance company's making that should be your money. And I encourage every person who has a destroyed home, every single person who has insurance with a destroyed home, I am begging you, I am imploring you, please pick up a phone, call the 844-800-LAWS number, get a lawyer. If you don't want to use me, I'll give you the names of other lawyers I like. Whatever it is, get legal representation, because the fastest and best way to prevent future delays by insurance companies, future problems by insurance agents, future problems by bad contractors, is to leverage them with either litigation or strong, intelligent lawyers who can go out there and get you the money you deserve, while at the same time motivating these people to pay in a timely and proper fashion. That's what's key about this. The more you do that, the more the insurance companies respond. That's why a lot of times when we sue, we get phone calls saying, "What's your number? Let's get it resolved." Because they realize we will take them to the mat if we need to. We hope we don't have to. I hope I don't have to file a single suit. But in order to really be successful, that's what you need to do.
The number again, 844-800-LAWS, 844-800-LAWS. And Scott Major, brilliant attorney, and he also has Brian Parúas with him, his partner. And when Brian was here, you guys make an incredible team. And you got to think, too, that, and two, behind the scenes, there's a lot going on with contacting the insurance companies. And that alone is one thing, like I say often, one of the best reasons to call up and get them on your deal is so that you can actually get back to some semblance of a life. Contacting, knowing who to contact is one thing, but then having the time to do it is another. And Brian was very talkative about how good he is at A, getting them on the phone, getting the right people on the phone, and B, after he gets them on the phone, knowing what to say. That's a lot of the problem.
He's the master.
844-800-LAWS, 844-800-LAWS, stormhelpteam.org. Scott, have a good rest of your day, my friend. Thank you so much. By the way, if there are people that are listening that would like Scott to come and, give a speech, get people educated, get people, all in one area. It could be a condo association. It could be a neighborhood. It could be anything. Scott is willing to do that. So that 844-800-LAWS, keep that, call that, and get him on the ball.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all you're doing, and I look forward to coming up there live so we can do a session and get as many people out in person to ask the questions they want.
Yeah, now that's coming up. By the way, just real quick, are we still set for July the 26th, around that area?
Sounds awesome.
All right, my friend. I'll talk to you soon, bud. Take care.
Have a super day.
There he is, Scott Major from Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team. Always extremely willing to help out. A lot of energy, a lot of brain power that guy possesses. All right, got to take a break. Hour 3 coming up. I'm going to talk about the tropical storm. I'm going to get you up to date on the very latest with this new tropical storm that's being forecasted for here. That's coming up next. All right, stand by.
This man, he is the king.
The Kramer Show will be back on NewsTalk at 101.